Welcome back to That Philly Sports Girl. I'm your host, Elise Person, and yesterday the Philadelphia Eagles lost to the Baltimore Ravens 30-28. And is anybody else feeling totally conflicted over the 2020 Philadelphia Eagles? I can't decide whether to just write them off completely and move on to next season or to hang on for my dear life, because while sometimes the game looks so bad, sometimes they show such promise. I mean, yesterday in the first quarter, or in the first half, I was ready to turn the game off. I was ready after the first half to be done and to just do something else with my Sunday. However, and then in the second half, the fourth quarter, they pulled it together and I was just like, wow. Wow, I could not believe it. And I think that we need to talk about the hustle, effort, and just grit put forth by Carson Wentz in the fourth quarter. He never gave up, and I think that is just so admirable, and I think that's something that really needs to deserve everyone's respect. I mean, the Eagles' offense was nowhere to be found in the first half, scoreless going into halftime. They were down 17-0, but Carson Wentz never gave up. He finished the day 21 for 40 with 213 yards and 2 receptions. So pretty low completion rate, but he did not have a ton of help from his receivers yesterday. Both John Hightower and Miles Sanders both had 2 pretty big drops, and we cannot ignore the offensive line. Carson Wentz was sacked 6 times yesterday. Absolutely no time in the pocket whatsoever. He was being blitzed over and over and over again, and our offensive line had no answers and offered him absolutely no protection. This is just something that cannot be happening week to week, because Carson Wentz, he's going to get hurt if he's getting pounded the way he did yesterday. He was taking hits over and over. The amount of hits taken on him was too high, too many. And I think that another thing that is really hurting us as well, and this is playing into the offensive line, this is playing into the receivers, is the injuries. Carson Wentz is playing with such a battered offense and is making it work. He is somehow scraping together all these players and somehow at the same time still managing to score 22 points in the fourth quarter. Right now, Carson Wentz and Jason Kelce are the only 2 Eagles offensive players, starters, that are healthy. That is insane. No other team in the NFL has injury numbers like this. The Eagles are really hurting right now. 13 injured offensive players, including yesterday losing Zach Ertz, Miles Sanders, and Jack Driscoll. That is just so unfortunate, and especially let's look ahead to next week really quick. We have a Thursday night football game coming up. That is not a quick turnaround for some of these guys who went out yesterday to hopefully come back for Thursday night. But I just think that we really need to highlight the effort put forward by Carson Wentz yesterday in the second half. He really showed up. And I know I keep saying that, and I know I said it a few times already, but it was just so amazing, unbelievable. And I just think that it really showed the leadership that we've been looking for from Carson Wentz for a couple years now. You know, last year we talked about his ability to lead. Could he lead? That was a lot of conversation flying around the media. Carson Wentz's ability to take this team and lead them. And I think that yesterday he showed that he is not giving up. The Eagles are not going anywhere, no matter what you might think of them. And they are just ready to play. Carson Wentz told us yesterday in the second half that he is going to take all these battered guys and he is going to try and do his very best to make a win out of it. And thank you, Carson. I respect that. And I think that's so important to see from your starting quarterback. I mean, I had mentioned the Eagles were down 17-0 at half and then outscored the Ravens 28-13 in the second half. And that second half drive single-handedly came from Carson Wentz. He, like I said, showed real leadership and just really stepped up. We weren't able to pull out a win yesterday. Unfortunately, it was a little too late. But Carson Wentz proved a lot of people wrong, including me, made us eat our words from a few weeks ago. And I'm just proud of him. I will say I'm really happy with the way that he's stepped up. And I want to continue seeing him make these strides going forth into the season. I will say, though, I do have to critique a little bit of the offense because we can't go an entire first half like that and ignore it. No matter how great the second half and the fourth quarter was, we just cannot ignore what happened in the first half offensively. In the first half, we went 3-and-out 3 times in a row. Then we fumbled it. Then we went 3-and-out 2 more times before getting our first down of the game. We got our first down of yesterday's game with 4 minutes and 6 seconds left in the first half. That's just poor. That's very, very bad offensively. And no matter our injuries, that just should not be happening. I think that we are decent enough to, even with the injuries, to be able to get first downs in the first quarter. I mean, there's no reason that we need to be waiting until almost the second half to be getting a first down. I think really quick, I want to talk about Jalen Hurts. The runs that he was starting, he was really creating some great momentum shifts, and I'm very, very excited to see him more, and I want him to get the ball a little more. So I was just going to touch briefly on that because I think Carson Wentz, I don't think there's a conversation anymore about whether Carson Wentz should be starting. I know that was flying in the air a little bit, but I think after yesterday, no, put that question to rest. Carson Wentz is our starting quarterback, but I also love having Jalen Hurts in the mix a little bit. I really like it. So like I said, I'm not going to discredit the late run that we made, but just wasn't enough for a win. Too little, too late, and we cannot rely on that offensively, especially looking ahead to our next few games. We have the Giants Thursday night, then we play the Cowboys, we have a bye week, and then we play the Giants again, which means that we have 3 NFC East divisional games in a row that are must wins if we want to go to the playoffs. And the offense that was being played in the first quarter is not going to fly in the next couple of weeks because, like I had mentioned just moments earlier, these are must wins. Now I'm going to talk about the defense. I think we need to talk about 2 players that have just been consistent in our defensive unit, Brandon Graham and Josh Sweat. Brandon Graham yesterday was just constantly rushing Lamar Jackson. He finished the day with 2 out of the Eagles' 3 sacks, and he's just consistent week to week. He now has 5 sacks on the season so far, so week 6, 5 sacks. I like it. He's been consistent. He's been showing up. And then another person we need to talk about is Josh Sweat. He has just really been coming into his own defensively in the past few weeks. And yesterday, he was just such a demanding, well-known presence on the field. Yesterday, he was deflecting passes, rushing Lamar Jackson, and like I said, just being a well-known presence. He finished yesterday with 5 tackles and 3 tackles for loss. And this is also a really important key to note, is him coming to his own in the past few weeks is a very, very strong and important point, especially because of how quiet players like Fletcher Cox and Derek Barnett have been in the past few weeks of the season. So defensively, the stepping up of Josh Sweat, the continuation of consistency by Brandon Graham, I just think that we need to keep that up, and I would like to see more defensive players step up and be more consistent. But defensively in a whole, we are in the same situation that we are in last week. Too many points being given up. 30 points given up by the defense is still a little high for me. Lamar Jackson's rushing game was dominant and prevalent throughout this game, which shouldn't be a surprise. I mean, it's LeBron Jackson. That's what he does. He runs the ball. But I just wish the Eagles have had a better response defensively. Lamar Jackson led the Ravens yesterday in rushing yards with 108. And I just think that's a little too high for me. Again, I just think that the Eagles could have changed strategy a little bit, maybe could have. I don't think it should have been a surprise that Lamar Jackson was going to run the ball a lot. So I think that I wish I saw the Eagles be a little bit more prepared. I don't know if prepared is the right word because I think that they were definitely practicing against the run game in practice, but I just would like to have seen a better response or maybe more defensive strategy change, game plan change. Granted, we have to give credit where credit is due. Lamar Jackson is a very, very talented, shifty, and quick quarterback, but I just want to see better game strategy and better changing on the fly and being able to work quickly and change quickly depending on what's happening in the game. And this again falls on Jim Schwartz. Last week, Jim Schwartz's defensive calls cost us the game. And then this week, I think that Jim Schwartz could have, like I said, I don't know if prepared is the correct word, but maybe got the Eagles a little bit more ready to face off against Lamar Jackson and his run game. So again, going into next week, like I had said last, I want to see Jim Schwartz and his defense be in a little bit more control of the game and dictate to the offense more what they're going to do, as opposed to being so reactive on the defense. I would like the defense to be more in control and more dominating on the field. So now looking at how the NFC East did yesterday, the New York Giants finally got their first win of the season, defeating the Washington football team 20-19. It was a nail-biter finish as Washington scored with 36 seconds left in the game, and the Giants had to fend off a 2-point conversion for the win. Daniel Jones finished the day 12 for 19 with 112 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception, while Kyle Allen for the Washington football team finished 31 for 42 with 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Tonight, the Cowboys face off against the Arizona Cardinals at 8:15, and let's just hope and pray for a Cowboys loss. So now quickly, let's look at Thursday night's game and what we can do to improve from this week into this upcoming week as well, into week 7. So the Giants are coming off a win against the Washington football team, and the Philadelphia Eagles need to end this Giants win streak on Thursday. It's a very quick turnaround from yesterday's game, so it's going to be very important that the Eagles get into the training room, get the treatment that they need, do whatever they can to be as healthy and prominent for Thursday's game. You know, we're going to be hoping and keeping an eye on big players like Lane Johnson for his possible return Thursday. He's going to really help the offensive line if he can come back. But like I said, we also have players like Zach Ertz, Jack Driscoll, Miles Sanders that went down in yesterday's games offensively. So I would really like to see, and fingers crossed, them hopefully return this Thursday night. But it is a quick turnaround from Sunday to Thursday. So I'm not sure how the Eagles are going to play that, how they're going to be pushing certain players, and how that's all going to shape out for Thursday night. So we'll be keeping an eye on that this week. And defensively, I just want to see Jim Schwartz and his defense have better defensive strategies and game plans. I want to see us control the game and its tempo defensively and not be so reactive. I want to control the offense. I don't want you controlling us. So that's going to do it for today. I'm That Philly Sports Girl, and thank you so much for tuning in.